Okay, hello boys and girls, welcome to the second tutorial. This time we're gonna go over some basics in the valve hammer and make a basic map. So let's get started. Go ahead and start your valve hammer. You can go check if you have the settings that we did last time. Go to tools, click options. Then you can check the textures tab that you still have these WAD files here that we put here last time. Then you can go to the game configurations tab. You can check that you have the game data files here set correctly. So if you do, we can go ahead and start, go to file and click on new. Now this will open these four views for you. You have top, front, side, and you have the 3D view here. So I could go over some basic tools here, but first we're gonna make a small block so it's easier to explain. Right here you can find the block tool or brush tool, block tool, whatever it's called. Select that. Then you can go to the right side here, click browse, then just select something you have here like that, and then you can just zoom in and out with the mouse wheel on these views, any of them. So yeah, you can go to the top view and just make a block here. You see this white box now, you can move it around any way you want. Right click on the middle of it and then it will ask if you want to create the object and click on that. Now you don't see anything here yet because it's out of our side view, field view, whatever it is. Go to here, back to these menus on the left and click on the selection tool like that. Now you can click on the 3D window here, then you can hit Z on your keyboard and you should be able to move around like this. You can just move with WASD like in Counter-Strike. Move around and look freely where you want to. When you want to exit the state, just press Z again like that, and now you can't move it anymore. Hit Z, move around, and hit it again, and then it stops moving. So let's go over some basics of this user interface here. Here you can toggle the grid. As you can see, it disappears from these views. You should always use this pretty much. I never turn it off because it's really useful to have, so your choice what you want to do. This will give you a 3D view of 3D grid on this 3D view window. I don't really find this useful, but you can try this if you want to. Kind of messes up the way you want to texture stuff, or it just bothers me, so I never use it. You can use it if you want to. I'm gonna turn it off. These buttons, they will reduce and increase the size of this grid here. Now as you can see on the bottom here, the current grid size is 16, so every single square here is 16 units wide and 60 units long. So if I go and click minus, the minus sign once, now you can see it splits the grid. Now the grid size is 8, so every single what are these squares? Every single square here is now 8 units wide and 8 units long. You can go to as small as 1 unit, so now these are all 1 unit of size, and then you can go to as high as 512. Now I suggest that you stick to like 16 or 8 at all times, because this will just make many things easier and make sure that you don't make too many objects that are off this grid somehow, because then you will have real trouble connecting different components and stuff. So always stick to 6 or 8. You will have to go to like 4 or 2 if you want to make wooden planks for some map or something like that, and you will have to go to 1, 2 sometimes just to get things as you really want them to do, especially if you're doing something really small. But if you don't have to, you should not use those always stick to 8 or 16. I like to use 16 myself. It's a good amount because it fits for so many jobs. So what else do we have here? This is a group selected object, so let's say if I had another one of these here, oh well, I'll just make one. This is a very useful tool also. If you hold shift and drag this block, maybe there, then it copies everything this block has, all its properties and size and textures and stuff. This is really a useful tool. So just hold shift and drag, shift and drag, and Ctrl Z, like in all other programs, it's undo. So if you do something wrong, just Ctrl Z and it will undo the change. So now we have two blocks. Now if I wanted to group these, it's very useful if you're like making some complex structures or stuff. You really want to group all the items together, so you don't have to move them around alone, and it gets easier if you want to copy them at some point too. So how do you select multiple items here? Either you can make a box like this, a selection box. Any of these windows is fine. You can do it here, you can do it here or here, but not in the 3D. But I'm gonna do it here. Make a selection box like this, so that it surrounds the items. Press enter, and it selects everything that it's in its area. Now this is useful at this point because I don't have anything beneath these or above these, but if I would, it would select the roof and whatever there would be below, all the items that are inside this selection box. So this is not such a useful tool for me, at least. An easier way to choose them both is just Control and click. Like you have one selected, hold Control, select the other. Now you have both selected. Now we can make a group out of this by clicking this button, Group Selected Objects, like this. Now if you click to the nothingness here and click back, you can see that now they are a group. You can move them around as a group. Oh shit, sorry. Well, this is a weird thing that you may run into sometimes too. You will leave this box here. If you like make a selection with the selection tool, you make the box, but then you switch to some other window to do something else, the box will still stay here. And because it's selected, when you try to move these guys, they won't move because the box is still here. So you gotta get rid of this first. Wait a second, did I get... Yeah, now. So you can get rid of it just by hitting the escape key when you're in this window, this or this, wherever you are. If you have this weird box here, you try to move them around, you can't because the box is still there. So just hit the S key and then you're able to move these around again. So yeah, if I want to ungroup these, it's the button next to this, ungroup. Now you can see they're not a group anymore. Group them again, like that. Now if you have many objects in a group, like a pile of boxes or something, you may want to just select one of them if you want to move it. You can click on this tool. This is group ignore, so even if they are a group, now as you can see I can't select only one of them at the moment, but if you toggle this tool, now you can select individual items in the big group. Take it off, and now you can only select the whole group again. Okay, so what else? This right here is a tool that you're gonna use a lot. You will most likely use the Shift plus A shortcut for this a lot more than this actual button here. One of the most important tools of a mapper in this program. So I'm gonna use Shift and A. It will bring up a window like this. Now this is a what was the name of this? Texture application. Okay. Now even when this is on, you can still move in the main window. If you go here, click Z, you can still move. Okay, sorry for the small break again, recording run out of time. So, texture application tool is on, you can move around. When you have, when you are in this free look mode, you can hit Z, it will stop. Then you can select different surfaces of these items. So, and Shift and A will close and open this tool. So I'm gonna open it, and I'm gonna select, again with Control you can select multiple surfaces like this. So I'm gonna select sides of this, for example, like that. Then we're gonna go to Browse. God damn, this is lagging like hell. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Browse in here, and now you can select any texture you want to put on the sides of that brush. I'm gonna take something like this maybe. So I have now selected it. It hasn't appeared here yet. I'm gonna have to click Apply before it will go here. So click Apply, and now you can see, if you close the texture tool with Shift and A again, you can see that the texture of the sides of the brush has changed. Now, as you can see, this doesn't look like in the picture. It's missing something from the top. Now this is because the texture scale is different than this side here. I think it's a lot larger than this actual side, so that's why it doesn't show as it's supposed to. Now what you can do to fix this is click on Fit right here. Now as you can see, it's correct in this way, but it looks really shit because now it's stretched a lot sideways, because the texture is higher than this, but it's not as wide as this block, so that's why it looks like shit now. So what you can do to fix this is go to X. Now this this direction, the horizontal direction, this is always the X direction in this texture tool. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 1 here and hit enter, and now you can see that the texture scale is 1 on X, so it looks a lot better now. Now it's the natural size of the texture like this, but it's still half of its normal size in this direction. So if you're gonna put 1 here, you can see it doesn't look as nice as it should be. So select them again, or you can just click Fit and put 1 here, and now it looks like this. A bit better than only having 1 at both. Now I'm not gonna teach you about optimization with this tool yet. I'm gonna do another tutorial for it, but there is some very important stuff you need to know about this. For now I'm just gonna say that never go below, was it 0.03 or something like that. Never go below this, and never go above 4. Always stay within these limits. So if possible, like from 0.50 to 4, that would be the ideal way of doing this. So what else could I tell you about this tool? Well, I can tell you the rotation thing, for example. Now if you put for example some texture like a window or some planks or something, and you really want to like have them point at some other direction, you can just go here on the rotation tool, and you can type here, for example, 45 degrees if you want. Now it's turned 45 degrees. Then you can go just turn it completely the other way as this. They are now facing like against each other. And then this tool is also useful when you have, well, let's say if the Y scale on this texture was 1, 2. Now you see the this weird iron thing is only on the bottom. Now if you wanted to have it on the top, for example, and leave the bottom like this, you can go here and change the texture placement with these arrows here. So I'm gonna move the Y so that we get the iron on the top like that. This is also very useful for different kind of, well, I can't think of a good place to use this, but I use it a lot. It can help you fix a lot of things. Now this is the most important what do you call it, important feature of this tool that I'm surprised by how many mappers actually know about this. But you know, if I did the same here now, hold on a second, like this. Now say, well, this doesn't really bother, it's a really small problem, but you can do it so that this side, the texture of this side, seamlessly continues from this. How you're gonna do that is that you have this side selected, or whichever side you wanna copy to the next one, or continue to the next one. So I'm gonna select this side, I'm gonna hold the Alt key, and then move over this, and hit the right mouse button. Now if you, I don't know if you saw what happened, I'm gonna do it again. Hold Alt and right mouse key. Now what it does is it continues this texture on the dish surface, so it looks a lot smoother, like it really well, it just looks a lot better, and there are many points where you're gonna have to use this tool, and I'm surprised by how few know about this, but this is really useful for making a lot of stuff, and it's gonna make everything look a lot better. So pretty much whenever you make a side of a certain block, you should always go around it like this. Hold Alt, right mouse button, hold Alt, right mouse button. Now it will have to go a bit over the next one at some corner, but you should try to put that corner to some place where people can see it, so it won't bother anyone, and that way all the other sides will be smooth. Now you can also, if you're lazy to texture like I am, you can just select a block you have here, and you can just copy or just make the continuance from here too, even if they're not touching, like that. Then just select this, hold Alt, right mouse button, and you can go around the block like this. Looks really good. Okay, so that's that. Everything well, not everything, but the most important things you need to know about the texture tool. So next we're gonna I'm gonna show you this one. This is apply current texture. Now what this does is what fuck my English, man. What this does is that it will apply the texture you have here into the brush you have selected. So as you can see, it disappears when you open this texture application tool, but if you don't have it open, then you can see this here. So I'm gonna select this, I'm gonna select a new texture for it again, something like that, and now I'm gonna click this, apply current texture, and this is what happens. It completely covers the block in the texture you have selected over here. Also very useful for many spots, especially when you're doing something complicated and you wanna add a null texture to it to make it optimized. This is really useful for that. I'm gonna teach you a little about the null texture later too. Okay, well, you don't have to know anything about this yet. This is basically a tool for applying different kind of simple... Okay, sorry for the small break again. So yeah, this is a tool for applying different kind of simple texts and small images to your map. There's a special texture that it needs to be before you can use this with it. Or wait a second, could you add it anywhere? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, you can. You can use any texture you want, but not really a useful tool. I use it very rarely on anything. You can experiment with it to see what you can do with it. And you can turn it off by clicking here again. Like that. Now it's on when you see that weird image there. And it's off. So, and then I could tell you a little about how to change the size of these blocks in here. It's really simple, just select any of these you want. Depends on where you want to stretch it. Any direction you want. I'm gonna make it a little bit higher. Like that. And now I'm gonna show you the clipping tool and the vertex tool. So what clipping tool does? Well, this image pretty much explains a lot. It like chops a certain part of the block. So I'm gonna demonstrate how it works. So when you have the tool selected, you will see these will change their appearance when you have it selected here, like that. And I'm gonna chop off the edges of this block here. So what you want to do is just with left mouse button, hold it, click it on the edge, hold it, and then just drag it wherever you wanna do the chopping. Let's say right there. Now you can go to here with CG. You can preview again where it's gonna cut. Now it's gonna take this part here off. You can see it from here. But the part that stays red like this will be chopped off. So if you can select what you want to chop off by clicking the tool again. If I click it again, now it will only separate these two parts, but they will both stay here. And now it would remove this big part and keep the small one here. But I want to do so that it will cut off the corners, so I'm gonna leave it like this and then just hit enter. And now you can see it chopped off a part of this block. This is a really useful tool for making different kind of shapes, but it can create some real problems too if you're not careful with it, but for simple tasks like this it's really useful. Now another tool I want you to learn is the vertex tool. Now this is something you are going to use a lot too, and you must really be careful with it. You can do a lot of things with it, but you can also fuck shit up really bad if you're not careful. So when you have this block selected here, you can always see it selected by the red yellow thing that it has when it's selected here. So I'm gonna have it selected and I'm gonna click on the vertex tool. Now it will show you different points of this block. As you can see, yellow ones are always the middle of a certain thing and the white ones are the corner parts. So we can go to this other corner, for example. I'm going to show you a little what this does. Now this is a front view, so basically it's the same view now. If I'm going to click on this corner, you can see it selects both of these. And now I can just drag it wherever I want, like this. I'm gonna put it there, for example. Then when you want to exit this key, you can exit this tool. Just go and take the selection tool again, and you can see now it changed. Now it didn't remove anything, it only changed the shape of the item. You can also select individual corners. Let's say, yeah, let's select this one for example, like this. Now you can always see I have this selected. You can move that to anywhere you want. But this is the point where you need to be careful with these, because if you move them in the really fucked up shapes, the hammer will start giving you errors. I don't know if it gave for this one already. Yeah, it did. I'm gonna teach you about that tool in a minute, so be really careful with this one. And you can just Ctrl Z always and undo if you fuck something up. Now, when you have like two vertices behind each other and you want to select only one of them, as you can see it selects both, then you can, for example, go to the top view. Oh wait, I don't even remember how you did this. Okay. I don't remember how you select only one of them, but it's something simple. You will find it out yourself. Just play around with the tool. But yeah, that's the vertex tool. And it's always, the more vertices or more points you have in a block, the more you can shape it. And if you wanna move one side, for example, you can just select the middle one and move that like this. Yeah. Okay. Now the tool you have seen flashing on the screen, it's the problem check. You can get it by clicking Alt and P on your keyboard, like this. It checks the maps for problems. Now, this does find almost everything, but you will still run into some errors while compiling that this tool doesn't detect, but it sees all the obvious mistakes you have done. So always keep checking this, like whenever you keep doing more and more, or every time you do something complex or add something new. I recommend you do this every time. Now, as you can see, there is only one error. It also explains a little about the error when you click on it, and some errors this tool can even fix. So you can just select it and click fix here, and it will try to fix it. Some stuff it can fix, but most it can't. So what the error is now is just that there is no spawn point. We're gonna fix that later, so I can just ignore that. And when there isn't any errors, hold on, I'm gonna show that too. It will do this. No errors were found. This tells you that everything is almost alright. Okay. Now I could explain a little about the entity tool. Or what? Yeah. So with this you will place all kind of models, sprites, spawn points, lights, all kinds of effects pretty much you will do with this. So when you have this selected, you can go to here. You can't select anything else from this drop down list, but from here you can find a big list of different kind of stuff. Well, not such a big list, but big enough. You can place weapons with these different kind of effects. As you can see here, snow, rain, fog. We can go through all of those later. All you need to know right now is that info player start. This is a counter terrorist spawn point. So use this for CT, and this info player deathmatch. This is for the terrorists. Or well, I can show it to you. So you can click the info player start here, put it anywhere you want. You can either place it in this window, or you can place it here. If you do it here, it will make this huge green cross that will show you where you have placed it. This is very useful later on when you have lots of stuff in your map. It might be difficult to find it from here, so this is a okay, so a small break. So this is a useful tool for that. Now I'm gonna lift it a bit and then click on create object. Now I think it went inside this one, yeah. I'm gonna move it away like this. Now this was the info player start. Now if I'm gonna put info player deathmatch here, you can see that's a terrorist spawn. Okay, so these also the spawn points you can copy just by holding shift and then dragging like this. Now I'm not even sure why it does this, it animates the models. Maybe because I have the animate models checked in the options, but I usually do it like this. Then just drag, shift and drag. And then you can select them all. And again shift and drag. Like this. It will make the copying a lot faster. I'm gonna select them all and delete for now. Okay, so this tutorial is already long as fuck, but I guess we're gonna try to make a small basic map now so you can get something done. What the fuck? Hammer crashed on me, hold on. Well, you can just go create a new one. Didn't need the old one anyway. Now I'm gonna tell you a small thing about optimization so you can use this on all of your maps from the beginning. So I'm gonna make a big box here. Well, that's fucking huge, hold on. Bit smaller. Like this, yeah. Okay, then I'm gonna go to the middle again and create object. Now you can't see it because you're inside of it, so go to this window, hit Z, back off a little, and now you can see the massive box. We're gonna build our small map inside this. Now what this you might be wondering what this texture is. This is called null, and what it does is that this is a texture that is not drawn when you are compiling the map. So basically every surface you manage to put this on will increase the map performance and decrease your compile time. So for now I'm just gonna say that use this texture on every single surface that players cannot see. If they can see some block with this texture, it will look really weird and make all kinds of bugs, so only apply it to every surface that the players can't see. Now, as you might have noticed, this box is solid, because if you go inside it you can't see anything because there is no space inside it, it's completely solid now. So because we want to make a map inside it, we're gonna select the box, go to tools and make hollow. Click on that. This will ask you how thick you want the walls to be. I usually use 16 for this, it's enough. Depends on what you would need to do. I'm gonna use 16. Click OK. Now you can see that it's hollow. It has a roof, walls and a floor, all 60 units thick. So let's go inside it, and as you can see we have a huge space here now. This is still way too big for for what I'm planning to do. When you make a hollow block out of a solid thing, it will always group the items, as you can see. So now that this is still grouped, this is not something you should really do, because this will now throw these off the grid, most likely. But I'm gonna do it anyway because I don't have time to do this better right now. I'm gonna make it smaller like this. Yeah, I think this is enough for us. Okay, so now, because we have to put some other texture here, because this texture must not be showed to players. You can leave it all around the map, because players cannot see this, and this will increase the performance of the map because these are not drawn. We are only gonna add the textures to the inside. Now remember the texture application tool, Shift and A on your keyboard. Select the floor. Now when you want to stop moving around here, hit Z. Go to browse. And now you might be wondering why the fuck there isn't anything here. It's because I don't know if you wrote null here. Well, you probably didn't. But anyway, you can search for textures here like wood or metal, and it will filter out everything that doesn't say metal on it. So let's make a wooden floor, for example. I'm gonna select this one and hit apply. Now, as you can see, it looks like shit. It's because the texture size is really small and the floor is huge. So I'm gonna change the scale a bit to make it look better. This will also help with optimization. Let's try 4. Well, yeah, the planks are still huge, but this doesn't matter, it's just a test map, so it doesn't need to look good. So now you can select the wall. Let's do something. Some simple texture on these. Concrete wall. Well, let's put this one. Oh, it's a floor. But it doesn't matter if it looks good. Apply. Now again, you can see the texture size is about this here, and it just looks stupid because it repeats itself after every step. So I'm gonna increase the scale again. Gonna put it to 4 because it will look normal like that. As you can see, it looks pretty good. Now take the tool up again. If you remember how to copy it to the next wall, hold Alt and right mouse button, like this, like this, like this. Now we have the walls and the floor. Then we're gonna put some cool ceiling into this. Yeah, that looks nice. Hit apply. I'm gonna increase the scale again, and now this time I'm gonna put 2 maybe. Looks like shit, but doesn't matter. Okay, so now we have a basic room here. Well, this is not a room, this is a huge hall already. Now, what is very important is that this room must be completely leak proof, so that there is absolutely no way that you could see out from here or go out. It must be all sealed up. If it's not, it won't compile at all, so it's very important that the map doesn't have leaks. I'm gonna teach you about the usage of skybox on some other tutorial. For now we are just gonna use this panic room right here. As you can see, it's just a big room. For example, I'm gonna ungroup these quick. You don't have to. I'm gonna just show you something. For example, if the roof was like this would cause a leak to the map and it would not compile. So there are some really useful tools for tracking leaks. I can show you that too on some other tutorial, but for now you just need to know that everything must be sealed up. I'm just gonna use Ctrl Z to cancel that change. Okay, so let's put some spawn points here. Info player start is gonna be the CT one right there. It's also useful to use these spawn points to see the scale of stuff, it's easier to imagine how big everything is when you have put one down, so you can see how big it is compared to the other stuff. And one important thing about spawn points that I didn't remember to say, always. Okay, sorry for the small break again. Man, I really gotta finish this tutorial. It's long as fuck. Okay, so always put the spawn points at least 32 units away from everything. And I mean absolutely everything. So now you can see, I don't know if it's that's 32 yet, so I'm gonna just move it a little bit higher just to make sure. And I'm gonna put a couple of them, use shift and drag for this again. Yeah, like that. Then you can select the entity tool again, go to the spawn points. Now we're gonna put the terrorist spawn here. We're not gonna really need these right now, but I'm gonna put some anyway so you get the idea. Oops. Move that down a bit. There maybe. Put some frames for him. Yeah. Okay, so now you have basically almost everything you need to have for a basic map. The map is sealed, you have a room, you have spawn points. Now you may be thinking, how are players gonna see anything here? Because even though this is all light up here, after you compile this, this would be pitch black because there is no light at the moment. It just shows this full bright always in Hammer, but when you compile you will see that this would actually be completely black. So we need to put some lights in here. I'm gonna explain more about making cool lightings later, but for now only you need to know the basic ones. So go to Entity Tool and you can hit L here. It will skip to the point entities that start with L. You're gonna select light. Gonna place it on the middle maybe. I'm gonna put few of them. Oh, and right click always on the item 2, then create object, then it will create the light, as you can see. Right here I'm gonna shift and drag and put it here. Yeah, now we have 2 lights. Now I'm gonna explain a little about these. You can see every entity's properties like this. If you select it, you can go to edit and properties. That alt enter shortcut might be good, but I haven't really learned to use it, so I always use this. You can go to properties. Now I'll just explain a few small things about these lights. You don't really need to know about these at all. All you need to focus on is this brightness at the moment. Now what these are, the first 3 numbers, these are the color. It's red, green and blue if I'm not mistaken, and the last one is the brightness of the light. So if you want to, we can go to big color and we can make some gay ass lighting into this map. Yeah, but let's put some pink here. You can leave the brightness at 200, and when you click the X here, you can see it changes the color too, so that's the color it will be emitting after we compile this. I'll go to the other light, edit properties, gonna pick some color for it. Like that. Click OK and X. Yeah. Now I have 2 colors here. Now well, this map is really stupid at the moment, but you can experiment yourself with the this block making tool. You just select this, take any texture you want, drag it in here. You can make it in here too, or you can make it in here. I usually use the top view because it's just good for this. When you have decided the shape, create object and just place it somewhere, anywhere you want. You can do anything you want to this map. play around with the tools a little to learn about this stuff. One thing I do need to mention about these making these blocks is that 64 units. Oh god, I completely forgot to tell you about this measure tool here. You can see the numbers here. These actually mean width, length and height. So if I drag, change the size of this, you can see these numbers change too. So all you need to know right now is that 64 units is high enough for stopping the player. They cannot go over a 64 unit high block. So I'm gonna reduce the grid size to 8 and we're gonna boot maybe 48. Now this is a good height, they can still jump on it and they can't just walk over it. So 48 is good for now. 16 units is the highest block that players can still walk over. They don't have to jump over it, they can just walk over it. 16 units is the highest for that. I can link these dimensions to the description so I don't have to explain them all to you now. Trying to cut this tutorial before it takes days to render. Okay, I think we got a basic. Well, they don't have any weapons yet, but who needs weapons? they can knife fight this. Okay, so we have our map set up. Then you're gonna go to the file and click export to map. Now I'm gonna put it into Hammer 2 folder. You can put it wherever you want. I'm gonna put it here and call this tutorial 2 maybe. Click on save. Yeah. Then you can leave this open if you run into any errors. I don't know if I fucked something up. You can check it with Alt and P. Seems to be fine. Take Hammer down. This is the second patch compiler I installed. You can check the settings are still fine. Now here especially you have the WAD files that are in the Hammer. Tools. Oops, sorry. Oh, you can't see them. Can you see them? Yeah, you can. Half-Life and CHLT. We used those. So we're gonna need to put them here too. Now from here you're gonna find that map file you just saved. So mine is in Hammer 2 maps. Tutorial 2.map. Click on open. Let's check everything is fine and then we're gonna click on run. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it compiled fine. This is the compile log you will get after compiling your maps. Very useful when you run into errors. You should usually find them here. A lot of different information. I don't know what half of this means, so when you run into errors you can't solve, you can just post these to some forums and the more experienced mappers will help you with this, but I didn't run into any errors, so all should be good. You can just close this and now the map should be in the Hammer 2 folder, maps, and here it is, tutorial2.bsb. Now this is always the file you will need for playing. You will need all kinds of other files too, but we will talk about those later. For now I'm just gonna copy this to my C-Strike folder, or to the maps folder, tutorial 2, and now let's go check what we did. Open Counter-Strike, new game. God damn, my sounds are so high. Holy shit. Okay. Go search the tutorial 2. Click start. Let's see. And here we are. So, Hope it worked for you. Your first map, you can see, remember the green light we put here, looks kind of fun. The purple, pink light, whatever it is, on the other side. Okay, so now you know the basics to make a really simple map like this. You can continue adding whatever you want here. Sorry for the small break again. Okay, so I hope this tutorial was helpful. If not, sorry. But anyway, sorry for it being too long. I don't know how I managed to do this so long. The next tutorial should be a lot shorter, so hope you found this useful, and tutorial 3 coming in about a week or something. See ya.